Hi, this is Randall here in Texas.
And I'm Matt here in Michigan. Today, Randall and I want to wish you a happy St. Patrick's Day. And in celebration of the holiday, we're taking a look back at a film we like to watch during this time of year. 1999 film, Boondock Saints. It stars Norman Reedus, Sean Patrick Flannery, Billy Connolly, and Willem Dafoe. It's a story about two brothers, who run into the Russian mob as it's trying to shut down their famous bar. And after a scuffle with them, they get a vision from God to go on a quest to take out basically bad guys, other mob bosses and such. So, Randall, is this movie as good as it was when it came out in 1999?
Absolutely. I enjoy watching this movie every once in a while. It doesn't really lose any of its flavor for me. The jokes still hit home. The interplay between the two brothers is fantastic. I love like when they're shopping. It's one of my favorite scenes. And they're just like, all right, we're gonna go get all these guns and equipment. He goes, what are you gonna do with any rope? And then completely like later, there's a callback to that where it's like, oh, who needs the fucking rope?
Yeah, exactly. It comes in handy, right? You, Mr. Rambo, going for that big knife. All right. I'll let you have that rope.
Yeah, so like the jokes really hit home for me, and it's a fun thing, especially to watch around St. Patrick's Day, because like right at the beginning of the movie, they're just like everyone's Irish on St. Patrick's Day, you know. Um, just that camaraderie, 1999 spirit. Whereas nowadays it'd probably be like, oh, who wants? No, we don't want them. We don't want them. Just Irish, So, no offense to any Irish people, that's not the point. The point is that today's world is more insulated than it was even in 2000.
This is a movie that you gotta realize is kind of ridiculous. You can't take this like real serious as you're watching it. And I think one of the best characters in here, Willem Dafoe, and I think that is why he works so well in this film too, is because he understands that and kind of takes his detective character, FBI, detective character, like over the top kind of thing. Those are some of my favorite scenes, or the scenes with Willem Dafoe, where he's got all this history as FBI agent, so he's walking through all the crime scenes and stuff, and basically calling out all the local Boston detectives who don't have a clue of what's really going on with the crime scenes.
Yes, he consistently makes fun of the Boston detectives for their lack of vision, call it basically. Willem Dafoe's character probably has the most character arc in this entire film. So yeah, the brothers start out as just two kind of meat factory workers, and then they go into kind of contract killing for the greater good. But Willem Dafoe's character starts out as a straight-laced FBI agent, and then he moves on to this grandiose where this like he just can't figure it out, and then when he finally figures out, he kind of has this break of, he goes and he talks to the clergy, and he's like, I like to uphold the law, but at the same time, what these two are doing, what these two brothers are doing, I believe in. I think they're doing things that are right, and it's kind of like the same thing you get with Batman, where it's like, yes, he's a vigilante, he himself is breaking laws, but he's also only breaking laws to hurt bad people. So where do you draw the line? And his Willem Dafoe's character really has to grapple with it.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, the brothers, too, when we first see them, you're talking about the meat plant, they're just happy, we see they're really intelligent because they can speak a lot of different languages stuff. That's another scene when they're with Willem Dafoe, in the police station. And he asks us, like, what are you guys doing in a meat plant? They're just two Irish boys, happy to just be living life. They're happy, just working and then going to the pub afterwards and getting into a pub fight if need be or whatever. But it isn't until, they run into the Russian mob and, have to kill them in like self-defense that they get that calling, divine calling, to go on this quest. Like the Blues Brothers, they're on a mission from God.
they're they're on a mission from God. Yeah, no, there's certainly some parallels to Blues Brothers, although not in the same way. Where it's just like they they really have a actual spiritual uh, mission that they're on, and nothing's going to get in the way of it. Basically, even when the funny man gets
Rocco!
it. Yes, after he loses his finger, and they kind of get themselves beat up a little bit. It's a little bit like, all right, it sucks that this happened, but we have to keep moving. We have to keep on going on with our mission. Similar to the Blues Brothers, where it's just like, all right, everything's gone completely wrong, but we have to keep on keeping on.
Here's what the one thing too: the brothers, they're not like trained killers. This isn't like they have a history of killing people, and now they've decided to put their skills to use. They're kind of stumbling their way through. You were talking about the incident with the rope. They're kind of like going through the vent to try to like kill, and then they start fighting with each other. Yeah, like they didn't plan to strap themselves with rope and then fall down and then while attached to the rope and then shoot everyone. It just kind of happened, and they just rolled with the situation.
We're really good at this. Fuck yes, we are.
Oh, I love like Willem Dafoe is like, this doesn't happen in real life. Like these aren't trained professionals. Bad television is to blame for this.
This to blame for this. Yes. It's pretty fun. Like I said at the very beginning, the jokes still hit home for me, and every time I watch it, I enjoy it still. Now, one of the other characters that we haven't really talked about much is their father, which is Billy Connolly's character. He kind of shows up and delivers a little bit of a beatdown on them all by himself, but it was before they knew that they were related, and we don't really know that they're really, really related because of the sequel, but eventually he finds out that basically there's a family prayer that they say every time before they try to off a Russian mob, and he's like, oh, that's our family prayer, and it clicks in him that they should be working together, basically.
Yeah, when they first hire him, because basically he's hired by the mob to take out, the brothers, because the brothers are taking out all the mob guys, and so the higher-ups are kind of like, we got to protect ourselves when it's going to get us. So they go to Billy Connolly's character, who's been locked up for some 25 years, but even then, he had a code when he was killing for the mob. It's like, he only kills other bad guys, and he doesn't kill women and children kind of thing. But yeah, when the Saints, first walk into him, I mean, he's firing guns at him. It's kind of funny too, Willem Dafoe going into like the crime scene. He was talking about how six guys were firing. Yup, exactly.
Yeah.
And he's making fun of the one Boston detective the whole time for being wrong and stuff. And the one time that he's actually right and Willem Dafoe is wrong is when he says, well, why does it have to be six guys? Why can't it be one guy with six guns
with six
kind of
guns.
thing? Which it ended up being. It was just one guy with six guns.
Yeah, it's fantastic. If you haven't seen the film, it's definitely worth it. It's definitely a violent film. Don't go in thinking anything else other than you're going to get like some serious rated R action. But it's a little bit of a good feeling film. Everything kind of ends up being okay at the end. But speaking of the ending, Matt, do you think that like the whole court scene at the end is a little bit overblown, or if it just fits right in with the movie?
I don't know where else they would have gone with it. I will admit that I feel the last part of the movie kind of feels a little bit different tone, I think, than a lot of the other movie. I think it's more serious. Like you said, a lot of it's like you don't want to take this movie too seriously, and there's like jokes and stuff. They like stumbled in things. But the end of the movie, it's like they are now established, I wouldn't say hitmen, but, established guys on a mission kind of thing. And yeah, I mean, there was always questions on what they were really doing, what their purpose was. And the end of the movie was like, hey, just to let everyone know this is what we're doing kind of thing, why we're doing all these killings. And it's basically to put bad guys on notice. Like, hey, if you're doing bad stuff in our neighborhood or whatever, the Saints are gonna come for you.
Yeah, and then apparently they just go to Ireland and sit for the next, like, 10 or 12 years or whatever, however long it is between these films. And I'm like, oh, okay. So that ending didn't really end up happening, did it? Because basically everyone now knows who you are and everyone's out to get you, including the cops. So uh, the only thing about the ending for me is it's nice to see that the main Russian mobster does get taken out in the end, but he thinks he's got basically immunity. He can bribe the cops or he can bribe the judge. Like, he never gets convicted, and it's like, well, we're not gonna wait for you to be convicted, and that's where Willem Dafoe's character comes back in and sneaks the brothers and their fathers, just call them the Saints at this point, into the courtroom to actually handle this execution, this very public execution of a bad person. And he's full in on it. So the FBI is full in on it. Some of the Boston detectives are full in on it, which is a storyline that continues into the sequel, where they're just like, "Oh no, they found out." So the only thing I like the scene. I just think, well, maybe instead of the court scene, it could be just them setting the mob boss up because Billy Connolly's already working with them. That there was an easier way to get there, but maybe not an easier way to make their point publicly.
Yep, like I said, I think it was more to draw on like Willem Dafoe. Like you said, that's a big part of Willem Dafoe bringing in and going on. And you were talking about the struggles Willem Dafoe had before, where he's like, um, you know, they're killing people or whatever, but they're people that should be getting had by the justice system, and it's not. They're falling through the cracks, kind of thing. So I think really the ending was just to reinforce that point.
Yeah, it's really good, and you don't get a whole bunch from the Boston PD detectives, but at the same time, they're obviously in on it as well, but they don't have the same character arc that Willem Dafoe's character does. So it's there mostly for him to show the audience that he's 100% behind them.
Yep. What are you talking about? The Boston detectives got Willem Dafoe coffee. They got him bagels. They kept messing up donuts. They got him a bunch of stuff. No, I would just say that this movie is worth seeing just for like Willem Dafoe's performance too. Some of the scenes, I mean, they're just so crazy, outlandish, awesome stuff.
Yeah, definitely Willem Dafoe by himself. If you just go and look at like a super cut of his scenes, it's probably worth it. Um, then you've seen most of the movie. But uh, if you like this kind of content, we have some more flashback reviews, so we'll make sure to post a link to those at the end of this. Make sure to give us a like and a subscribe. We're also on Facebook, so you can hit us up over there if you have to. Remember, comment below, give us some suggestions. We're definitely looking for anything else that our fans might want to see. For right now, I'm Randall in Texas. See everyone later.
I'm Matt in Michigan. Happy St. Patty's Day.